So the women's window is complete, and Canada's women have defeated Haiti by a score of 3-1 to go 2-0 in this window. What does it mean? Well, let's talk about it. Guys, here it is. What does it mean is our match recap. When we're talking about the games that are here, we do primarily Canadian and African content. So if this is your first time here and you like this type of content, make sure you turn on that notification button, leave a subscribe, give us your thoughts on the game, and comment. Let us know what's going on. All the things in a different order. But we are here, guys. We're talking about this game, which is an interesting game. It was rather simple in the first half. Second half, we saw Haiti grow into the game, but a lot of talking points here. Let's first talk about the lineup here. So I made this point on Blue Sky and Twitter. It's interesting that we got a lot of rotation. That's something I was looking at in my preview of the game before talking with JD. I mentioned the fact that I'm expecting one win, a window out of this team, just because Stoney so far has been rotating and has been looking at different players. So I was a little bit not surprised when we saw the lineup, which was Sabrina D'Angelo, Jade Rowe, Shavashi, the new call-up, so she gets her debut cap. Gabby Carl in the midfield. You had Emma Regan, Jessie Fleming, Simi Awujo. Then you had Olivia Smith, Holly Ward, and Evelyn Vienne to lead the line. And I think my tweet or my post on Blue Sky was, fans, Canadian women's fans for years, we want rotation. Fans reacting to Stoney rotation every second game of every window. That's a lot of rotation. And I'm here for it. Someone comments says, and they always complain, which is true. But you got to see teams, you got to see players play, and you got to see how they reacted to this, right? I've been in a window of watching friendlies. I watched the Unity Cup in England, where Ghana played Nigeria, and then Jamaica played Trinidad and Tobago. The winners of those two games played each other, and the losers of those two games played each other. You get to throw players in and see how they react to the pressure of the game. In this case, a fun game. Now, with Shavashi coming in, there's a little bit of a low-key point here that I was kind of talking to a few people here. That 2022 Canada U20 team on the women's side gets a lot of slack. I think they got buried because of their performance at the World Cup, which I don't think was fair, because ultimately, if you actually look at the squad, they are sending players who are not only at the national team level, but they're knocking on the door. Right? That's a whole conversation in itself. Pulling up this roster, like, think of these players who've already been called into camp. Anna Karpenko has been called into camp. Zoe Burns has. Mia Pont is on the doorstep. Jade Rose locked in. Brooklyn Courtnall on her way. Right? Florian Jordan, I think she's on her way as well. Sonia Walk, not quite there. Simi Awujo called in. We kind of forgot that she was doing things, and there she is. Michaela Small, I think based off how she's playing at the NSL, her call-up is coming. Holly Ward, we've seen her. Olivia Smith, standout. Sierra Thurton, I think she's coming. Kayla Novak, playing, can get a call at some point. Maya Grant Clavio, I think she's a player, again, going. That's 4 players. That's 5 who could be coming in. That's Karpenko, Burns, Rose, Awujo, Ward, and then you're looking at a player like Michaela Small, who's probably coming as well. They got buried in the league because that U17 team that came afterwards, that's like the Amanda Allens, the Rosa Maloofs, right? The Naya Roses, the Ella Ati, right? There's a group of that team. That team played so well, and then all of a sudden when Maloof got hurt, then you were introduced to Annabelle Chukwu, who has burst on the scene and hasn't relinquished his crown. That team, that U20 team, got buried because when they went to the World Cup, they had a tough game against France, a tough game against Korea, and a tough game against Nigeria. People were like, oh, what's wrong with development? Development isn't linear. That's the thing that you have to remember. So a player isn't going to be the best version of them. Not everyone is going to be an Olivia Smith where they burst onto the scene and they are great from the get-go. Not everyone's going to be a Like, there's such a range between Olivia Smith and other young players. And I think you gotta let players develop and figure that out. But that 2022 team, I tweeted it was 2021, but that 2022 team, they're providing dividends, and I think they are going to start to push through. And then with that U17 group of that same year, and again, I think when they come through, I will say that the rotation, as long as those players can get into professional spots and develop, the veterans on this national team better be on their game, because these kids are hungry and they're coming. So I want to say that off the bat. Another thing I want to say off the bat, they played Haiti in Montreal. And this was probably a classic throwback to those old Canadian games where the crowds were all rooting for the other team. Can't really do much about that. Montreal has a heavy Haitian population. I don't know this, just as pure speculation. Wouldn't surprise me if Canada Soccer was like, well, if we put it in Montreal, I mean, the Haitians will sell it out and we'll have a full house. And it was a full house. Now, what does that create? It creates a crowd that is not supporting the hosts. That's it. It's a bit of a dynamic. I understand people who aren't happy about this. If you want to look at this from the greater geopolitical scale, this is the closest thing Haiti's had to a home game in years. If you haven't been following what's been going on in that country, unrest. I think the last game, I could be wrong here, but I think the last game that Haiti hosted was during the pandemic. And that was the World Cup qualifier where they played Canada. So it's almost interesting that Canada may have been the last team to have played on the men's side to play in Haiti in an international match. And then when Haiti comes to Canada, they have the best, warmest reaction, and that's going to happen. I didn't hate it. I understand people who aren't happy about it, but at the end of the day, it's a game. You're going to have fans for both sides, and they bought the tickets. If you're Canada Soccer, you're not mad because you probably made up for what you didn't sell for Desi Scott's retirement match. You probably made up that difference in Montreal. So good for them. I understand the dynamics and what the optics of that, but I'm not upset about it. It's fine. But let's get to this game. So the game starts, and unfortunately, at the 10th minute, Olivia Smith, off of a free kick and the second third ball, takes the ball to the head and has to leave just under concussion precautions. And it's one of the things that you notice about this player, where the world is their canvas for how good they could be. The only thing that could be stopping them is injuries. And especially because it's head injuries, you are a little bit more concerned, because this is multiple concussions for the player. And her style of play is one that is going to be physical. Not to say that she doesn't invite it. Some of it is not on her at all, right? The bruises that you'll see her pick up, the cuts, the scratches, people will play her physical, but you've seen her score that same type of goal at every level, where she takes the ball, bullies a defender through, fights through it, puts a shot on frame, cross the keeper's frame, goes in, far corner. She's done it at U17, she's done it at U20, she's done it at the senior national team, she did it in Portugal, she did it for Liverpool. She's that type of a player. And sometimes you have to try to protect the player from themselves, and that comes up with the question is, what is the best way to use her? And they were talking about that on the pregame. Where's the best place to play her? In that 10 role, probably. Which would mean you'd want her a little bit more inside, but within that invites her to attack the ball both second and thirds. Or do you want her on the outside, using her pace and her physicality to go through and past people? That's something you have to have a conversation with her. We're hoping for a speedy recovery from her, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is a concern, because Lady Smith is one of the bright spots, if not the future of this women's team. She represents those kids who are coming, and you want to make sure that, sometimes you have to protect them a little bit from themselves, but it was such a freak bounce, right? Ricochet off of a clearance, and it sucks, and you wish her the best in the recovery, but it's something you kind of keep in your back of your head now, because that's now multiple concussions for the player. But you go on. Evelyn Vienne scores a header in the 16th minute off of a cross from Holly Ward. Then Holly Ward scores in the 23rd minute. Evelyn Vienne again in the 42nd minute. I was really excited. I was like, it's my all Quebec day. All the goals will be Quebecois. Then the 45th at plus 2 minutes. Canada gives up a penalty. Marie Levasseur is defending well. There is a tug. The reaction is late. She sells it. The Haitian player does. Duvernay steps up, scores the goal, and it's a 70% Haitian crowd has something to celebrate. And it's 3-1 at half, and it stays 3-1 throughout the game. In the second half, Canada a little bit more on the back foot with substitutions. Not to say that substitutions are why they were on the back foot, but you have Janine Becky coming in for Gabby Carl. So Becky played in the right back role. You had Vanessa Gilles coming on for Chavashi, coming in on the 56th minute. Ali Du coming in for Jessie Fleming in the 64th minute, along with Zanorski for Awujo and Kayla Briggs for Evelyn Vienne, which meant that in the second half, for the last 30 or so minutes, you basically had Jade Rose in the midfield as a CDM, which I know at one point we're talking about and thinking about. I don't know if that's the best use for her right now. She's still a young player. I know a lot of Canadians are high on her. I am one of them. But I don't know. She's experimenting, that is Stoney, so we'll see what evaluations he's able to take from that. Sabrina D'Angelo gets right on the penalty in the first half. 2 big saves in the second off turnovers. It was a much more physical game in the second half. And you saw Canadians kind of looking to see for the ref to take control. The ref decided whistles for whom, for what in the second half. And I think it's something that they have to learn to just say, hey, it's easy for me as a commentator to say, hey, the ref is swallowing the whistle, just play through it. I'm not the one getting hacked. I'm not the one getting pulled and tugged. So it's easy for me to say on the pitch, say, hey, I'm not even on the pitch. You guys, you're professionals. Deal with it. I get the frustration. But it is something when you know the ref is going to play that way. And even from the beginning, the ref wasn't calling too much. The ref was letting the players play. And so it didn't reach a level of a like Argentina versus Canada when they played in Spain level, where you felt like, okay, Quinn's about to come off this bench and they're going to fight someone. But you saw some of the players being frustrated. But sometimes you're going to play a game where the ref is not calling it in your favor. So you just got to play through it. And it's a little bit unfortunate. But the second half, you definitely saw a stronger Haiti growing into the game, pushing and pegging back. Canada just couldn't really get a flow in the second half, which is a bit of a concern. I think having Olivia Smith would have helped. And now you're at a point where you're looking at players and saying, who did enough? I think at this point, Holly Ward, you can't argue that they did enough. They, I think, have been present in all their games on SofaScore. Holly Ward is the highest rated player with a goal, an assist. She's at a 9.3 for the game. She's the highest rated player. Then you have Evelyn Vienne with a brace and Jessie Fleming. Those 3 players as your players of the match for Canada. The next highest player coming in was literally Melchi Duvernay, who scores the penalty. But then also, I think that she was very good on the pitch for Haiti. We'll have a lot of conversations. I had one person message me, asked me, they need to play better teams. Well, who would you play? CONCACAF teams are available. That's who you're going to play. You have Nations League / the Euros going up in Europe. The South American teams are finding friendlies everywhere, whether they're playing themselves or, like Brazil is playing Japan in Brazil, right? The Asian countries, maybe you're trying to look towards them, but then it's Japan, it's Korea. They already played China and Taiwan. They played Mexico earlier this year. And so, yes, odds are you'll have to start to play more European-type teams. Maybe they get another Nigeria run to see how well they go. I don't know if Morocco will test them as much as people think they will. Their best bet for competition is probably in Nigeria if you're going to look at the African route. Or, you go somewhere. You be the attraction versus bringing someone in to be the attraction. And you say, hey, we're going to go to Colombia and play Colombia for a couple of games. Or we're going to go and play... or that might be the call there. Or maybe it's doing a European tour and you're trying to find other teams that you could play, right? Not those higher ranked teams. Because right now, as it stands, Canada's friendly slump. As it stands, Canada is playing Costa Rica in the end of June at BMO Field. And then they're flying over to play the US the day after Canada Day in DC, which I'm sure will have no politically charged atmosphere whatsoever. So it's tough to look at that, and you have different competitions going around. It'd be nice. I wonder what that looks like coming forward, because we've kind of already talked about in past videos the idea of Nations League, and I'm not the biggest fan of Nations League because I think it takes away from the friendly. And especially in CONCACAF, where they'll do things with competitions, they'll say these two teams are exempt because there's no point in them playing. Well, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you play those competitions, you're playing lesser teams and you're pummeling them. If you don't play them, now you're at the mercy of everyone else's schedule to try to figure out who you can play and when you can play them. So it's a tough call, but I mean, going back to this game here, I've ranted enough. Love what I saw out of Holly Ward. Good to see Jade Rose back on the pitch. Gabby Carl's been playing well. I think that battle with her and Jade Riviere will be interesting. Cindy Collins hopefully gets healthy. I'd love to see what she adds to that conversation. Kadisha coming back soon as well as Chloe Lacasse. Again, I'm naming names and I'm just rattling off names, but there's a lot of players who, when they get back from injury, are going to make this 23/26 player squad for major competitions. A very tough choice for Casey Stoney, and I, for one, I'm here for it, because you want to have depth, you want to have competitions, plus you have the kids who are coming, and again, they're going to keep these veterans honest. So I'm looking forward to it. Guys, if you were at the game, let me know how the experience was. If you watched the game, who were your players of the match? Who stood out in that sense? For me, I'll give it to Evelyn Bien. I know she scores the 2 goals. My runner-up there would be Holly Ward. I think Holly had an exceptional game, and we'll go from there. So guys, let me know in the comments, and as always, I'm going to stop talking right here.